Before we start the movie, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content. Our story begins with David, a famous writer, and his girlfriend Amy, a renowned actress. They are on their way to Amy's family home, where David plans to change his environment and work on his new story, while Amy wants to refresh herself and spend time with her family. During the trip, they stop at a restaurant for a break and a meal. While they are eating, Charlie appears, a man who seems to have had a past relationship with Amy when she lived at her family's house. David steps away to get drinks, giving Charlie the chance to sit beside Amy and try to get closer to her. David notices this from a distance. At the same time, a young man named Jeremy enters the restaurant, causing a commotion and quickly being thrown out. After finishing their meal, David and Amy get back into their car and continue their journey. Upon arrival, David inspects the house to ensure it's suitable for relaxing and writing. They then begin settling in until nightfall. The next morning, David wakes up startled and looks out the window to see Charlie working on the roof of the neighboring house with his crew, playing loud music. David approaches them and politely asks if they could start working later to avoid disturbing him, as he wakes up early. Later, David sits down to start writing his new story, but is surprised when one of the workers enters the house. David is confused, but Amy reassures him that it's normal in the countryside where everyone knows each other. If it bothers him, she suggests he talk to them. David does so, warning Charlie, who apologizes and promises not to repeat the intrusion. That same evening, an irritable old man named Hoban confronts Daniel, Jeremy's brother, warning him to keep Jeremy away from his daughter. Their argument escalates until Officer John intervenes and resolves the issue. The next morning, Amy puts on a revealing outfit and runs down the street as if she were in the city. Charlie and his crew follow her in their car, ogling her and making inappropriate comments before driving off. When Amy returns home, she finds Charlie and his workers at the neighboring house. As soon as they see her, they stop working and start harassing her again, making her uncomfortable. When she tells David about what happened, he advises her to change her style of dressing since they're not in the city. Frustrated by his comment, Amy goes upstairs and stands by the window, attempting to tease the workers. Meanwhile, David heads to the village to make an important phone call, due to the lack of network coverage at their location. At the village, David meets someone who knows Amy and invites her to join him at church. They go together, but during the sermon, David steps out, surprising everyone. Charlie follows him and asks why he left. David explains that he doesn't believe in religion but knows enough about it, adding that a man shouldn't desire his friend's wife. Charlie interprets this as a reference to Amy, and responds that it also depends on what she wants. Later, everyone gathers at a party where Jeremy, who has psychological issues, tries to talk to Hoban's daughter. Unfortunately, Hoban catches him and beats him up, leaving him on the ground while no one intervenes. Amy steps in to stop Hoban from hitting Jeremy, and at that moment, David and Charlie also get involved. David takes Amy and leaves, saying he dislikes conflict and prefers to avoid trouble. When they return home, Amy finds her cat hanging and strangled in the closet. She is convinced one of Charlie's workers broke into the house and did it. The next morning, Amy asks David to confront Charlie and his men about the cat. David goes to them but ends up asking for a different favor instead of addressing the incident. Amy becomes certain that David is a coward. David decides to invite Charlie and his crew to their house, planning to use a bear trap he owns. Meanwhile, Amy walks in wearing provocative clothing to frustrate David and offers the workers beer, which drives them wild with desire for her. Charlie seizes the opportunity and suggests David join them for a hunting trip. Everyone gets in the car and heads to the hunting area, but Charlie and one of his men return to the house, intending to assault Amy. They force their way inside, and when Amy resists, Charlie pushes her, drags her to the bedroom, and violently assaults her. Meanwhile, David is walking alone in the woods until he encounters Officer Joe, who offers to take him back to the house. When David returns, he is furious about being left behind and mistreated by Charlie and his crew. He tells Amy he will kick them out, but Amy calls him a coward, doubting his ability to act. David argues that avoiding trouble doesn't make him a coward, but Amy refuses to tell him what happened with Charlie and his accomplice. Instead, she insists they leave the house, but David refuses, saying no one can force them out of their home. The next morning, David pays Charlie the remaining amount for the work and leaves the site, but Amy's mental state is completely shattered. She suggests to David that they go to town to watch a football game, and he agrees, taking her along. Meanwhile, Janice, Coach Hoban's daughter, tries to talk to Jeremy and takes him to the locker room. Hoban notices his daughter is missing and, upon asking about her, is told she is with Jeremy in the locker room. He rushes to find her. When Jeremy hears Hoban approaching, he panics and tries to stay silent. However, he holds his breath for too long and ends up suffocating to death in his own hands. At the same time, David and Amy are driving back home. On the way, they hit someone. David gets out to check and discovers it's Jeremy. He decides to take Jeremy with them in the car and calls an ambulance, informing them he'll take Jeremy to his house. Meanwhile, Hoban, Charlie, and their men are searching for Jeremy and find out that an ambulance is heading to David's house. Because of Jeremy's injury, they all jump into a car and head to David's home. When they arrive, Charlie knocks on the door and demands David hand over Jeremy. David refuses. Charlie promises they won't harm him, they just want to know where the coach's daughter is. But David stands his ground and refuses to hand over Jeremy, angering them to the point that they start breaking the house's windows. Amy, terrified by the situation, begs David to hand over Jeremy, but he insists on protecting him until the end. At that moment, Officer John arrives and orders the attackers to put down their weapons. John knocks on David's door and asks him to hand over Jeremy so he can place him under police protection. However, David doubts that Hoban and Charlie will leave Jeremy alone, even if they hand him over. Suddenly, Hoban hits John from behind with a rifle, killing him. When Amy sees them breaking into the house, she panics and tells David they should just give Jeremy up. David explains to her that letting them inside means they will kill them too, especially since they had no qualms about killing the officer. Angered by David's resistance, Charlie blows up David's car. David notices someone trying to climb through the window and pins him down with nails, killing him. Hoban continues shooting at the house, but David manages to pour boiling oil on him. Hoban tries to set the house on fire, but David extinguishes the flames. David provokes the attackers by playing loud music, acting as though their actions don't bother him. Charlie begins to realize that David isn't the coward he thought he was. At that moment, Charlie decides to destroy the house by ramming his car into it. David takes Amy and Jeremy to hide upstairs. When the attackers break through a wall, Hoban enters with a rifle, but David suddenly appears, wrests the rifle from him, and shoots him, wounding his leg. As David senses someone behind him, he turns to find Hoban attempting to shoot him with a pistol. David reacts quickly, disarming and killing him. David prepares to use the rifle against another attacker, but it runs out of bullets. He grabs a metal object and uses it to finish off his opponent. Hearing Amy's screams, David rushes upstairs to find someone assaulting her. He pulls the attacker off her, but they overpower him and point a gun at him. At that moment, Amy grabs the rifle and strikes the other attacker. Charlie then confronts David, and they begin to fight. David is exhausted from the beatings, and Charlie nearly kills him, but Amy intervenes, threatening to shoot Charlie with the rifle. Charlie mocks her, saying the rifle is empty and has no bullets. Seizing the opportunity, David hits Charlie on the head with a bear trap, killing him. After defeating all the attackers, David sits in shock, staring around in disbelief, astonished that he managed to kill them and horrified by the realization that he has turned into a violent person. Although David killed them all, he was unaware that they had assaulted Amy. He had done it all to protect a sick man. The story ends with David proving to Amy that he wasn't the coward she thought he was. If you enjoyed the movie, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our latest content.